The FCC is taking a big step towards undoing net neutrality. Facebook got slapped with a $122 million fine. Mercedes-Benz is following in Elon Musk's footsteps. And esports, Major League Baseball, that's coming to Facebook too. All that and more in today's Tech News Today.
This is Twit. Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1771, recorded Thursday, May 18th, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/TNT.
And by Blue Apron, the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. See what's on the menu this week and get 3 meals free with your first purchase and free shipping by going to blueapron.com/TNT.
Hello and welcome to Tech News Today, the show where we talk about the biggest tech news stories, talk with some of the smartest people in tech, and, well, just kind of all of the good things and all of the bad things, too, happening today in tech. I'm Nathan Olivares-Giles.
I'm Megan Maroney. Shall we?
Yeah, let's dive right into it.
The bad news first, probably.
Bad news first? Okay,
I don't know if we have good news, but it's probably better news than the regular news.
Yeah, if you're following the regular news, it's insane.
Yeah.
So we're sticking to tech today, though.
The FCC has voted along party lines to begin dismantling net neutrality. The 2-to-1 vote means the Federal Communications Commission has taken the first step toward repealing the rules that many internet freedom advocates fought hard for only 2 years ago. The rules had imposed strict oversight over ISPs to help prevent internet fast lanes, preferential treatment, and other measures intended to maintain a free and open internet. As expected, Chairman Ajit Pai and Commissioner Mike O'Reilly voted against net neutrality, and the only Democrat on the commission, Minion Clyburn, voted against the proposal, so voted for net neutrality, against the proposal to end net neutrality. So this is the first step, the first brick out of the wall, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. And the wall of net neutrality could crumble, and this is the first part. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's called. Pai's calling this the Restoring Internet Freedom, which is one of I got a big Burke chat groan over there. You didn't hear it.
Laughable name. Laughable name.
But when we were talking after the show about this, and it was kind of like it's sort of the same as Obamacare. You could compare it to that a little bit, like the repeal and replace. Mm-hmm. So they're repealing it, and maybe we could replace it with something better.
I love the optimism. I hate the repeal and replace ideas. What I'd like to see is we have something and it's not perfect. Let's make that better, but not abandon this not so bad thing that we have in the first place, right? So if they want to, if the FCC doesn't want to regulate internet service providers, fine. Make your case and then put pressure, as you suggested yesterday, on Congress. To determine who should oversee internet service providers and how, and what those rules look like. Or, if you want to shift it back to the Federal Trade Commission, there are different ways to do this, right? Killing net neutrality as it exists. And, to be clear, personally, I think that no preferential treatment for internet traffic is a good thing. A level playing field. That's the sort of thing that allows, scrappy startups to compete with, the big boys and girls of tech, right? And so if this gets away and there are financial hurdles and all these sorts of blocks and throttling and just lots of bad things, that's not good for anybody, in my opinion. There are some who would disagree, mainly internet service providers, right? So, the question of who should be policing the way traffic is treated online is a very good one. But does it have to actually also include ruining and throwing away net neutrality? I don't think so. But of course, the FCC does.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking a lot about this after the show yesterday because I just got so flustered and just, yes, it's a big bundle of snakes. That's what it is. And I think what it is, my issue with this is I am an optimist. And I think a lot of this is like, well, this could happen and that could happen. And I just feel like, well, it hasn't happened yet. Let's fight for it not to happen. Yes, you can come up with like all kinds of crazy scenarios. What if, like, without net neutrality, a website, a totally fake news website could pay so that their news, they pay an ISP so that their news appears above all else, all other news. Yes, that could happen. Is it likely to? No. So, I mean, what you're talking about, yes, the preferential treatment, the big corporations, this and stopping innovation, all of that could happen. But let's try to work together to make it not happen.
And if we are going to work together to make those things not happen, we might have to soon do it without net neutrality being in place. But along with this decision-making process that is being kicked off today, let's be clear, nothing has been decided and this isn't over by any means. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process. And right now, the FCC is open to public comment. So whether you're for the FCC undoing net neutrality or for them keeping things in place, no matter whatever your stance is, now's the time to weigh in as the public, which is part of the process too.
There was also some late breaking news. I don't know if you saw this, but I mean, as we've talked about before, privacy, net neutrality is pretty partisan, but privacy is often a nonpartisan issue. And Representative Marsha Blackburn, who is a Republican, she introduced a bill today that would apply privacy rules to internet service providers like AT&T and Comcast and companies like Google and Facebook. I haven't spent a lot of time researching it, but it does sound like good news, like these sort of privacy protections being something, that is, Congress making laws around privacy protections for these big companies. So that's good news.
That definitely sounds like a step in the right direction. I mean, on most days, I like to consider myself an optimist, but when it comes to Congress, I feel like they don't move as quickly as they should. Maybe not tackling the right things, wasting a lot of energy, not necessarily representing the electorate the right way, all sorts of things. I'm full of complaints when it comes to our elected officials, but this does sound like definitely a positive thing. Well, Mercedes-Benz is following in Elon Musk's footsteps. On Thursday, Mercedes' parent company Daimler announced that it's partnered with Vivint Solar, a U.S. solar panel installation company, to sell and install solar panels and battery storage packs to homeowners. The panels and batteries will be sold under the Mercedes-Benz Energy brand, and the pitch Benz is making is basically the same one that Musk's Tesla has made to homeowners. Put solar panels on your roof that can power your home and fill up a backup battery, and if ever the power grid fails, you'll be good to go. And charge your electric cars too. Vivint says that the Mercedes-Benz solar and battery packages would range from $5,000 for a 2.5 kilowatt system to $13,000 for a 20 kilowatt package fully installed. So what do you think about this? I mean, Elon Musk has a lot of, pie in the sky ideas, but here is something that seems like is being a bit validated by Mercedes-Benz interest in it. And I know there were a lot of questions when Musk wanted to merge his solar company with Tesla that were popping up from investors last year when that was actually happening.
Well, the idea of solar power and any kind of alternative energy is fascinating. I just, on Triangulation, interviewed Gretchen Bakke, who wrote The Grid, about our failing system and how really... I mean, I had solar panels on our last house. We're looking to get solar panels. I've looked into Solar City. I've looked into the solar roof. That's the difference between what Mercedes and Tesla is doing. Yeah. Tesla says it's a solar roof. Like it's actually not solar panels.
Actual roof panels. Yeah. Where Mercedes wants to sell like the more traditional big block of solar panel that you attach to your roof.
Right. Like they're working with a solar company already who's already in place. And it's crazy. There's so many solar companies and it's a little bit like car salespeople. Like they will come to your door like the Solar City guy. Like he hounded me. Like he just kept calling. I know you're interested and I can make you a deal. And it's just like, I wait because it is complicated, especially in California. I mean, it's complicated everywhere, but you just I don't get the power that my solar panel makes. It's just, and they just sell it back to me whatever price they want to sell it back to me. So, and if the power goes off on a perfectly sunny day and I have spent, $30,000 on solar panels, my power still goes off, And So it's, I like this. I think it's the size of a mini fridge, which sounds smaller than the Powerwalls. Like
the Powerwalls that Tesla's selling are a lot bigger. A mini fridge is a great comparison, and each of those is 2.5 kilowatts. And the idea to get to the 20 kilowatt package is to really like string those up. So you could have like a bunch of them leaning against the wall in your garage is kind of the idea.
Yeah. So I guess the difference also is they have a smaller capacity than the Tesla ones, but you can get more of them.
Exactly.
So eventually you can have more power if you go with Mercedes over Tesla. So yeah, it's only in California and only in the last quarter of this year. And they, like everyone else, claim to be using artificial intelligence to get the power where it needs to go.
AI can do so much.
Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah.
Not yet, but someday. I'm glad they're doing it.
The European Union has fined Facebook 110 million euros, that's $122 million, for providing incorrect or misleading information in their acquisition of messaging service WhatsApp. The issue surrounds whether or not Facebook could match user accounts on WhatsApp to user accounts on Facebook. Spoiler alert, they can. And they did last August when WhatsApp changed its privacy policy in terms of service. According to the EU's competition watchdog, Facebook claimed that it would be, quote, unable to establish reliable automated matching between Facebook users' accounts and WhatsApp users' accounts. It stated this both in the notification form and in a reply to a request for information from the Commission. So this is one of the largest regulatory penalties against Facebook, who acquired WhatsApp for $19 billion in 2014. A few days ago, Dutch and French privacy regulators also fined the company over their treatment of data. So it's kind of a drop in the bucket. They make billions of dollars from advertising every year. They say it wasn't intentional. They didn't mean it. They had no idea they could do this.
Oh, man. I just there's, so Burke said any programmer could do it, which is a good point. But there's this thing that we keep butting our heads up against, which is literally our lawmakers and enforcement agencies not understanding how technology works and what these companies can do. And to a certain extent, I gotta say, Facebook knew they could pull this off. To go through that process and to say that they didn't think they could do it seems really disingenuous to me. So I'm glad they're facing the fine here, but $122 million, that is so insignificant. And it is kind of amazing that is one of the most, one of the largest fines that Facebook has faced so far, considering that it seems like every few months they're paying some kind of fine somewhere in the world for these sorts of issues. But it's that's nothing for them. That they'll write that check any day of the week. So I feel like if they're really going to enforce these sorts of things, these numbers got to be higher.
Yeah, it's true. But I guess maybe they believed them that it was that they didn't intend to. Maybe, the person that was like filling out this regulatory form or whatever is probably not a programmer. So maybe
I wonder who was filling out the form. Like, it probably wasn't like Mark, like sitting at his desk and be like, no, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that. I'm just saying, I'm gonna fill in that bubble. No, I'm gonna fill in this bubble. Yes. Like, what the hell?
Right.
Like, it's comedic. It's comedic.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, more and more online actions are having real-world consequences that often catch those involved by surprise. The latest example, a San Francisco activist and musician, 35-year-old Robert Peralta, was recently jailed for a Facebook post that county prosecutors said was a threat to law enforcement. The Guardian has a super detailed story on this, but here's the breakdown. In January, a friend of Peralta's posted a photo of himself being choked by a sheriff's deputy while also claiming that he'd been slammed to the ground as well. Peralta left a comment that said, quote, "Wow, brother, they want to hit our general. It's time to strike back. Let's burn this expletives house down," end quote. So, 2 months later, Peralta learned that a warrant for his arrest was issued over the comment. He turned himself in and was jailed before a friend bailed him out. The sheriff's office seized his phone and combed through his Facebook account. And prosecutors have actually agreed to dismiss the charge in exchange for Peralta giving a presentation to youth about responsible social media use, which sounds like a pretty fair trade-off. He told The Guardian in an interview that, like many people posting threats on social media, I didn't even mean it. Pretty fascinating stuff. One of the things that sticks out to me about this so much is that when Peralta found out about it, he did turn himself in and was kind of blown away by the gravity of the situation. So it sounds like he really didn't understand that there would be some blowback for this. But, you know, it seems like a pretty stupid thing to post on Facebook at the same time. But just the latest example of you know, we really gotta take serious the stuff we do online the same way that we take serious, hopefully, the things that we do in the real world.
Right. And like you said, like he's going to be talking to youth about responsible social media use. That's great. Perfect, you know, consequence, as we like to call in parenting, like a logical consequence.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, how did they find him? Like, there are so many people on Facebook, like you have to believe that were they using technology? Like, were they spending tax dollars to find people? You know, I get it. Don't threaten people on social media. Just don't do it. That's beyond free speech. But at the same time, like, are they targeting protesters? And if you think about all the people on Twitter, all the anonymous people on Twitter constantly threatening physical violence, and there's no way to find them, there's nothing that you can do. And so this person shows their honest opinion about something on Facebook, on a place where, yes, very easy to find a person on Facebook and show up at their door. But the thing is, like, it's very easy to find out, once you've seen a threatening Facebook post, to see where they are. It's very easy to locate that person. But I have to wonder, are they targeting people? And is someone using digital surveillance? Is someone using, are they using like artificial intelligence? Because we've proven that is not unbiased. It's often very racist. Yeah. And so I think that's the part of this story. Like, I am not advocating violence on Facebook or otherwise, but I wonder how this person was found, what kind of digital surveillance
it's a really good question. And critics of basically there have been a string of arrests that have been made over the last year or so for critics of law enforcement online. And different groups like the ACLU and legal networks that support activists have said that they are basically being targeted for their online activities. So the theory is that law enforcement groups, whether it be a police station or a sheriff's department or even federal authorities, are basically monitoring what activists do online. Now, part of the complaint, part of the reason why critics are griping over this is not only because those are people they're supporting, but also because they say that oftentimes people of color and women are facing harassment online and saying something to the police about it. And since they're just regular folks, it goes ignored and is never pursued, right? So that's obviously a debate. So last year, after there were some Dallas police shootings, there was a spike in arrests across the country for those who criticized police on Twitter and Facebook, according to reports from The Intercept. And then in March, police won a warrant to search the Facebook account of a Dakota Access Pipeline protest group that led to an ACLU challenge. So there's a larger story that this is playing into. But yeah, that is a missing part of the story, is exactly how was this found. At the same time, if a photo is taken in front of City Hall, maybe it was geotagged or something like that, there might be some ways to find it. But yeah, we don't know if there might be a team inside of a law enforcement agency that's just sitting around hanging out on Facebook all day. Mm-hmm. And, of course, law enforcement might say that might be justified, but that is open for debate as well.
Right. And Elpis in the chat room is asking if he turned himself in, he didn't have to be found. That's true. He knew that there was a warrant. There was a warrant out for his arrest.
But to create the warrant, you'd have to know who he is and then go to the DA's office and say, we want this, blah, 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 all those sorts of things. I'm glad you also brought up the free speech question. So the San Francisco DA's office, which prosecuted the case, said that they didn't see this as a free speech issue specifically because, quote, at times people make statements that infringe on another person's freedom to live free from fear, end quote. And that was in the Guardian story on this. So, where is that line, right? People make threats all the time online. And in the past, oftentimes they hadn't been seen as equal to the sort of threats that are made in the real world. But that, too, is something that is changing.
I also think that there are a lot of people who troll on Twitter who walk that fine line. Like, they purposely don't. They say horrible things, but they try to avoid specifically saying something to threaten violence in order to, because they know where that line is.
Yeah, and that's a good point. There are some people who they're trolls online, and like it's a hobby for them. It's a fun thing for them. And in the past, maybe one of the reasons it's been so appealing is there hasn't been any consequence too. So, this seems like a case of a guy who really didn't intend for what he said to go as far as it did. But there are definitely people out there who are trolls. Of course, we have some trolls who make up our government and who use social media as a bully pulpit on a regular basis. So there's definitely some issues. Burke mentioned that this specific threat was a threat for bodily harm. If you burn someone's house down, they might be in that house. They might get burned.
Right.
It might be bad.
Right. And that's what you said. Yeah. That other people have the right to not live in fear. And yeah, that's a really good point. Like our president is often a bully on social media, and sometimes I wish he would have to teach kids responsible social media.
I'd like Peralta to maybe teach him some
yes,
things.
Maybe
he should be sitting in that kindergarten class as well, listening to what Peralta has to say.
Well, there's a new hacking attack out there, and according to a security company, Proofpoint and Bitdefender, it's making more money than WannaCry. Adelcuz? Do you think that's how you pronounce it?
I think Adelcuz sounds pretty good.
Adelcuz cryptocurrency mining malware. It doesn't hold your data for ransom. In fact, you might not even know it's there at all. Instead, it's silent. The only symptoms you'll see will be loss of access to shared Windows resources and a slow PC and server because it's busy mining for Bitcoin. Adelcuz is.
I want to know like how they come up with these names. These things are crazy, but Adelcuz actually predates WannaCry, right? So even though it's making more money now, it's actually something that came before. Is that how it works? What was the order here?
Yeah, they think like May 3rd is when they thought that they first found it. So yeah, it was around before, but it allegedly uses those same NSA exploits that shadow brokers dumped. So
well, coming back to something we spoke about yesterday, and for those who haven't seen yesterday's show, basically there was some proposed legislation. It isn't an actual bill yet, but folks in Congress were talking about introducing some legislation that would essentially bulk up protections for online tools used by the NSA so they don't like get into the wrong hands, which is what is believed to be kind of behind all of these things. So, I hate to see this sort of stuff happening, but if hopefully some good can come of that, then that would be a wonderful thing, right?
Mm-hmm. It would be.
Well, a quick reminder that you can comment on anything we discuss by emailing tnt@twit.tv. And of course, subscribe to Tech News Today by going to our show page at twit.tv/TNT. We're going to take a minute here to thank our sponsor, the sponsor of this episode, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Finding a mortgage, it's tough and it sucks. And it can often be kind of a pain in the butt to go from bank to bank and talk to people in person. I was recently looking for an auto loan, and that process was arduous and not always great and fun. But when it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, it's important to work with someone who you can trust and who has your best interest in mind. With Rocket Mortgage, you'll get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. Don't waste time searching through stacks of paperwork. With Rocket Mortgage, you can securely share your financial information and get a mortgage approval in minutes. You can even adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time using their online tools to make sure that you get the mortgage solution that's right for you. Whether you're looking to buy a home or refinance your existing mortgage, you can lift the burden of getting a home loan with Rocket Mortgage. Skip the bank, skip the waiting, and go completely online at quickenloans.com/TNT. That's quickenloans.com/TNT. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support. Well, Facebook is on a quest to dominate the world of online video, and it's partnering with Major League Baseball and the competitive video gaming league ESL in that quest. Sarah Needleman of the Wall Street Journal wrote a story about Facebook's video strategy shift today. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
So walk us through these deals here. Basically, in the case of the ESL, we'll start there and then we'll go to Major League Baseball. But in the case of ESL, Facebook is basically paying professional video game players and teams and others to post videos exclusively to Facebook, right?
Exactly. Facebook has paid publishers before and celebrities, so this is not entirely new, but it is embracing esports. We know esports has a massive fan base online already. And so it's really looking to esports teams as a way to bolster interest in its own video product, and it's signing deals with teams and leagues to do that.
So you know, when it comes to signing deals, you're going to want to get eyeballs. They're going to want to get folks to watch more and more video on Facebook. With the esports deal, they're kind of riding the crest of a growing wave, right? I mean, let's talk about the growing business of esports. NBA teams have been getting into esports and forming their own teams.
Yeah, esports
it's kind of taking
is
off,
huge.
right?
Yeah, it's blowing up right now, and you're right. The NBA signed a deal with Take-Two, and that's the company that makes Grand Theft Auto. But in this case, they're doing a basketball game, the NBA 2K, and they're creating an entire league around that. And we also know that Activision Blizzard is starting a league for its Overwatch game. So that will be another example of esports going big time. And now with Facebook, it's really looking to capitalize on that growing trend. We have something like, you know, last year, people watched 9.6 billion hours of gaming video on YouTube and Twitch.
Wow.
Okay, and this year it's expected to go up to 11.4 billion hours. So that's a lot of time spent watching video game content, most of which is esports.
So what will Facebook do that Twitch doesn't already do? How will they be different? Do you know?
Well, actually, they're not all that different. In fact, you could argue that Twitch has additional features that Facebook doesn't currently have, such as this opportunity to send quote-unquote bits to your favorite streamers as a way to show your appreciation for them. They both have chat functionality, and they both have, you know, the live streaming capabilities. So in that respect, they're very much the same. But of course, Twitch, we know, has a very huge built-in fan base already of very dedicated followers. And so Facebook has some catching up to do.
So with Major League Baseball, that's a traditional media sports property. They're going to be televising one game a week. Is this maybe like someday a threat to, say, like ESPN or, you know, Fox, the different networks that televise baseball games now? Or are they trying to do like a different online specific take to it?
It's a little bit different online. The way it's shown is a little bit different. You've got a lot of opportunities to add things on the screen and interact with players. I mean, that's what makes the internet so different when it comes to live streaming. You can actually converse potentially with the streamer as they're, you know, streaming right in the real time. You can also chat with other people who are watching the same stream as you and interact and say, gee, did you notice that move that so-and-so made? It's so much more interactive than television, and that's something that the younger generations really gravitate toward and that we see them spending most of their time doing. And with major traditional sports, we've seen MLG partner, or at least MLG's advanced media partner already with Riot Games for a deal to have a specific app for League of Legends competitions. So more and more we're seeing a gravitation away from traditional network television toward live streaming in both traditional and esports, and the two are coming together in so many ways. And one of the teams that Facebook signed with, Team Dignitas, is owned by majority owned by the Philadelphia 76ers. And we also know that a lot of traditional athletes are investors in esports teams, so there's a lot of crossover between the two.
I know Facebook has been working on trying to roll in ads, mid-roll ads, and then share that with the creators. Will they be doing this, do you know, with streamers? Like, could anyone live stream their own gameplay and possibly become a creator on Facebook, or is it just these big esport companies?
No, individuals can start streaming on Facebook. I mean, certainly anybody can. We know there have been people who have done some things they shouldn't be doing with some very harmful content. But anyone could stream. But if you want to become a dedicated video game streamer and have a deal with Facebook, that is to another degree. And certainly you have to have a relationship with the company. But there are opportunities for anyone to generate ad revenue. And at some point, they may add features like a tipping tool, for example, that, you know, is similar to the bits you see on Twitch. They have said to me that they are experimenting. They're learning from their current batch of streamers and asking them, what kind of features do you want? What would you like to see? How can we make the experience better for you? How can we make it more lucrative for you? And so, this is the beginning stages for Facebook. I mean, they're taking baby steps at this point. They're not embedded in the space like we've seen with YouTube and Twitch. So give them a little time to catch up, and they may very well do that. But for now, they're planting the seeds and trying to build an ecosystem, and we're going to watch and see if that actually works.
So baseball games can be really, really long. Actually, Major League Baseball is working on ways to shorten the length of games right now. They can go as long as 3 or 4 hours. Of course, esports tournaments can take a long time too. Is Facebook thinking that people are really going to stare at their smartphone screen for 3 or 4 hours, or are they working on maybe apps for televisions, the big screen, or counting on people using AirPlay and Chromecast, or what? What's the kind of thought behind the way people actually consume this media?
Those are some interesting ideas, and I don't know exactly what Facebook is thinking outside of what we're talking about now. But as far as the live streaming goes, it's not just esports competitions. I mean, they're looking at having interviews with players behind the scenes as they're getting ready to go on stage and compete. They may follow a player for a day. They'll have esports news. So think of it more along the lines of traditional sports, where it's not just always competition. There's a lot of chatting, a lot of analysis, interviews. So there's so many opportunities. And they're looking at traditional, not traditional, but video game content that isn't necessarily competitive. We have people doing reviews of games, humor. And so just like you see on YouTube and Twitch, it's not always necessarily hardcore gaming competitions, but all sorts of content related to video games, which are just so hot as a medium, as a form of entertainment. And so Facebook is not limiting itself to any one kind. It's really broad. As far as, there are additional apps or separate content outside of the regular part of Facebook, that has not come up yet. That is not something I've heard them talk about. This is really what they're focusing on at the moment.
What could this mean for Twitter and other, online services that have been trying to get into this sort of thing? Twitter had deals with the NFL, and they've been trying to do more and more in streaming. So they're not the only social network that's trying this out, right?
That's true. You're right. Twitter has tried moving into the space. It's a different kind of social network than Facebook. And with the fast streams that go down of people's tweets, whereas Facebook is a little bit slower paced. It's hard to say. They're both stepping into this territory, and it's new for them. And we have yet to see. We've certainly known there's been problems along the way that Facebook has experienced with the original partners that it signed last year. They have not seen strong viewership, and they have not generated a large amount of ad revenue. And then we've also seen Facebook struggling or grappling with users who are posting violent content that is, certainly something they don't want to see on there. So it's a process, and we're just getting started from what I can tell. So the competition is stiff, and yes, other companies want to get into it besides Facebook, and we have seen that with Twitter, and we've seen Twitch and YouTube have a really strong several years head start. So there are other streaming outlets out there, and it remains to be seen who's going to be the dominant one, but this is where it's headed right now.
Awesome. Well, fascinating report. Thank you so much for covering this. We're looking forward to your continued coverage. You really do a great job on the gaming beat. Sounds like Facebook has a work cut out for them. So we're going to let you go, but thanks so much for joining us, and tell people where they can follow your work online.
Sure. You can check me out WCA.com. I'm in the technology section. And also I'm on Twitter at Sarah E. Needleman, spelled SARAHENEEDLEMAN.
Awesome.
See you online.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay. Bye.
We have some feedback. Jim Daldry wrote in about a story earlier this month about those hackers, you might remember, who released the next season of Orange is the New Black after Netflix refused to pay their ransom. That was a simpler time, wasn't it? We called the cyber criminals pirates, and Jim took issue with that term. The term piracy, he writes, for file sharing started with Bill Gates having hissy fits about people copying paper tapes of Altair Basic and giving them away. Never mind that the language was public domain, written by students at the college he went to. The point is that the pirates paid money for the original tape that they then copied. Remember, don't copy that floppy. It is not a copyright violation to snap a picture of a a recipe in a book at the library for your own use, it is a violation or piracy to give or sell that recipe to a third party, or, as these cybercriminals did, to give away something that they didn't own.
Yeah, it's an interesting distinction, and I like the history and the backstory there. Pirates is what they're called these days. I'm sure there are some swashbucklers out in the ocean who would take offense to that too. But definitely some fascinating history there.
Exactly. Now, Amazon knows whether you're reading that book you bought or just letting it sit on your Kindle while you browse Facebook. We will talk about what that means. But first, let's take a minute to thank Blue Apron, the sponsor of this episode. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with fresh, high-quality ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients that can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. I love getting my Blue Apron box. It's like a little present, and I get to open it, and then I keep the cards. The cards, we keep them all in a little space in the drawer so we can do those recipes again, and it's great. The pre-portioned ingredients is amazing. It's great to get just like one small thing of whatever random ingredient that they have decided goes with that barramundi or that fish or whatever. Barramundi is a fish. And I think we went through this before. It's barramundi.
Barramundi. Well,
barramundi.
However you say it, it's damn tasty.
It is really good. Blue Apron sets the highest quality standards for their community of over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across the United States. By shipping the exact amount of each ingredient required for a recipe, Blue Apron is reducing food waste for all. Their freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they will make it right. It's great. I mean, I've never got everything is so fresh, which you can't always say when you're getting produce delivered to you, but with Blue Apron, it's always been really fresh. No bruises, just delicious food. Blue Apron delivers to 99% of the continental U.S. There's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. Customize your recipes every week based on your dietary preferences. Choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you. Recipes are not repeated. Like I said, you can repeat them on your own if you dare within a year, but you will never get bored with what they send you. Baked spinach and egg flatbread with sauteed asparagus and lemon aioli. Beef teriyaki stir fry with sugar snap peas and lime rice. Crispy salmon and roasted potato salad with pickled mustard seeds and creme fraiche sauce. You're getting hungry, aren't you?
I am.
Nate's just sitting over there smiling.
Good stuff.
3 cheese and baby broccoli stromboli with tomato and oregano dipping sauce. Check out this week's menu, and you can get 3 meals free with your first purchase. And you get free shipping by going to blueapron.com/TNT. Don't forget the TNT. They need to know that we sent you to them because we made you hungry. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. Don't wait. Go to blueapron.com/TNT. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Whew. All right. Well, TNT's fan of the day is Suzanne on Instagram, who said, our video last week of the dog barking set off her dog Spike. We're sorry, Suzanne. This is amazing. That's her adorable dog. And there we are in the background on the TV set. Suzanne, sorry about that. And thank you for sending that fantastic photo. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT, and we're going to find it.
There was a lot of pictures of Spike on Suzanne's Instagram. I
well,
went.
for good reason.
Yeah.
Spike's adorable.
He really is.
Yeah.
There's muddy face Spike. Go there. I liked all of her photos. Thank you,
have
Suzanne.
to check that out.
I don't know if this is just me or everyone, but I have this aspirational foot tall stack of books next to my bed that I might never read. Armed with data from Kindles and Audible, Amazon now wants to stop tracking those aspirational books and start tracking the books that people are really reading. Amazon charts will still rank the most sold books, but they will also rank the most read books. That includes books that are actively read on a Kindle or listened to on Audible. The most sold books will include not just the books sold and pre-ordered, but also those that people read through digital subscription programs or those that people borrow through the Kindle lending library. So they have a lot of data. They can also say how fast a book was read. So they could really say, like, it's unputdownable because someone... Or you could also describe that as, like, that person had nothing better to do because they had a broken leg, and that's why it was unputdownable. So you don't really know just because someone read a book fast. But I was looking at this. I would feel bad if, like, my book was the most sold but not the most read, because that just means it's sitting in the stack, like the stack of aspirational books.
Well, yeah, this is going to get really tough and really muddy because they're bringing in data from libraries, right? They're bringing in data from those subscription services and all this stuff on if people are reading the books or not. But that doesn't mean you're buying the book. You know, when I go to a library, I'm not buying that book. I'm renting it, right? I'm borrowing it. So then to put that in the, your book might be the most sold because people are paying for it, but your book might be the most read because of all these other factors too. So I don't know, that could get messy. Maybe they need to change the name from, there needs to be most sold, most read, and then most, like, this mix of our algorithmic, whatever the heck, Right?
Yeah. It should also be like most thrown across the room. Have you ever done that with a book when you get to the end and you're like...
Most likely to be used as a doorstop.
Right, yes.
Would be good.
Yeah. Do you have that stack of books?
Oh, yeah, I do have that stack of books. I love books. And this is actually a problem. I moved recently, and I literally... My bookshelf used to be in a horizontal orientation. I would stack books on top of my bookshelf, but now it's vertical. And the books are just in front of my bookshelf. There's a stack, not quite a foot high. But yeah, I've got probably a couple dozen books that I would love to read someday, but haven't gotten around to yet.
Are your bookshelves alphabetized?
No, actually. So I have a bunch of graphic novels. I have fiction, nonfiction, and poetry. So I separate them by, like,
genre.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so the system makes sense in my head, but it would not make sense anywhere else. So...
Oh, Burke had something to say, but it fell off. It was a Venn diagram of books read, books bought, and I don't know.
Books burned.
Oh, books burned. Really? He dropped it on the ground.
There you go. Okay, there you go.
Read, bought, burned. Okay, I don't know what kind of statement that is.
There's got to be something in the center, Burke.
What's in the middle, like Huck Finn,
read,
or
bought, and burned?
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, Huck Finn would be. Yeah, there are some books that are. Yeah, there are some that would be in there. That makes sense.
Good job, Burke.
That's deep,
I like
Burke.
it.
Thanks.
Deep, making us he's such a thinker. That Burke, such a thinker. All right. Well, TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC at twit.tv/live. And you can be a part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv or leaving us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW. You can also hit us up on Twitter at TechNewsTodayTV.
And you can find us at our subreddit. That's technewstoday.reddit.com. If you're on Reddit, why not just stop by? We're there. We're always there, just waiting for you, sitting there, waiting for you to come to our subreddit.
That's why you're not reading your books. You're hanging on Reddit all the time.
It's true. You can also subscribe to the show. And if you haven't already, why not? Go to twit.tv/TNT. All the ways to subscribe. Video, HD video, audio. If you don't think you have enough time, play us at faster speeds. You have enough time. And if you want to tweet at me to tell me why you don't have enough time to subscribe, I'm at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Nate OG. Thanks to our technical director, Kara, and Burke for helping out in the studio, and Kevin for editing the show. And thank you for watching and talking tech with us today. We'll see you tomorrow.